Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's going on, people? Welcome back to Rail with the Sports Opinion Podcast. I'm outside today. Family's inside. We here today. We here today to preview my nose Florida State versus Notre Dame today. So without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it, y'all. I gotta get inside and take a shower and rest up and stuff for the game. I just left the theaters with the family going to see Shang-Chi. Real good movie if y'all need to check it out. But let's get into it, man. Let's start off with my Seminoles, Florida State. We're talking offense, and we're talking 10 returning starters on offense. Well, 9, depending on who's going to start at quarterback, if it's Jordan Travis or if it's Mackenzie Milton. But we'll see once game time comes. The strengths for Florida State on offense is the run game. That's the only strength I can think of. That's the only thing that we actually improved in last year, I feel like, was the run game. We bring back Deshaun Corbin. We bring back Toa Philly as well to the run game. So that should be our strength is going into this game against Notre Dame. Weaknesses everywhere else on offense. As we know, offensive line play has plagued us for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm just curious to see where offensive line is at. Wide receiver production, we did get Malik McLean in, the true freshman. We did also get Andrew Parchment transfer from Kansas, so that should help us out. We got Ontario Wilson back, but wide receiver is another position group that's underperformed in recent years. So yeah, our weaknesses to me is everywhere else besides the run game. Hopefully, we can see if our offensive line can give us some pass blocking that we haven't had in recent years as well. For key players for the offense, I got left tackle Robert Scott. Um, I put him down as a key player because he's going to have to be key in keeping our quarterbacks upright, or at least keeping them in the pocket and comfortable. Our quarterbacks, of course, Mackenzie Milton and Jordan Travis, both bring a little bit of a different style of game to the game. Mackenzie Milton more of a pocket passer. I don't know how mobile he is now after the leg injury, but I'm pretty sure he has a little bit of mobility. Jordan Travis, more of our mobile quarterback who can get up and down the field. I've been hearing good things about Jordan throwing the ball this offseason, so we'll definitely take a look and see what he'll give us tonight. At running back, I got Lawrence Toafili and Deshaun Corbin, our two-headed monster. Thunder and lightning, if you will, with Deshaun Corbin being thunder and Toafili being lightning with his speed. At wide receiver, like I said, the newcomers, Andrew Parchment and Malik McLean, I think they can provide a spark to the wide receivers group that we haven't had in a long time. You couple them together with Ontario Wilson and a couple other guys, and we should be okay there. Tight end, Cam Mcdonald, he had a pretty solid season last year. He's coming into this year. His last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We did get an extra COVID year, so he may be coming back next year. But Cam Mcdonald at tight end is another key player. As far as defense goes for FSU, we have 7 returning starters and a few key transfers coming in there. I think our strengths can be in the DB play and our defensive line play. I think those two position groups can anchor this defense into being one of the better defenses that we had in the past few years. Our weaknesses: proven players and linebacker play. Linebacker play has plagued us just like offensive line play for the last 4 or 5 years. We have not seemed to get consistent linebacker play across all of the spectrum of linebackers, so hopefully we can step that up in this game against Notre Dame. Key players, transfer DN Jermaine Johnson, transfer Fox, Keir Thomas, our one lone bright spotted linebacker from last year, Amari Gainier, cornerback Travis Jay. He's actually moved to cornerback now, I think, solely. I know he was back and forth between cornerback and safety as well. And free safety Akeem Dent, he was back and forth as well, but he's settled into free safety. So I really like what we're doing there on that end as well. Now let's move on to the opposition, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. On offense, I have 3 returning starters for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's strength is going to be the running back room and the run game. They bring back their 3 top rushers from last year, including Kyron Williams, who had a 1,000-yard rushing season last year, 13 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, as a freshman. So that's going to be the strengths that I see from them. Weakness, I would say experience and offensive line play would be a big weakness for me. I know they have some experience coming back at wide receiver with 2 guys that they had that got hurt in preseason of last year, didn't play, that are coming back. But offensive line wise, I think they're only bringing back one or two starters, if I'm not mistaken, on the offensive line. So they got to shuffle that up some. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. Like I said, experience. They got Jack Cohn. He was very, very good in Wisconsin. I think like a 69% completion percentage the last full season he played at Wisconsin. But he's transferred in now, so we'll see how he takes over the reins. But yeah, weaknesses for those guys on offense, experience and offensive line play, in my opinion. Key players for Notre Dame on offense: quarterback Jack Cohn, running back Kyron Williams, wide receiver Kevin Austin Jr. is one of those guys who was hurt last year, who's coming back this year looking for a big year. Tight end Michael Mayer, and I would say their center Jared Patterson is probably going to be the anchor on the offensive line this year. So those are the key players. Moving to defense for Notre Dame. 6 returning starters on defense. Strengths for Notre Dame will be linebacker play and safety play. These guys have safety Kyle Hamilton, who's probably one of the top safeties in the nation, if not the top safety in the nation. They also have a few other returning players. Their weaknesses, though, I would say would be D-line and the D-line size. This isn't a normal Notre Dame, just looking at the depth chart, isn't a normal Notre Dame defensive line when you talk about size and experience. So we'll see what Notre Dame's defensive line can do as far as getting after the quarterback, knowing that we have some question marks at Florida State offensive line. Key players on the defense, I would go linebacker J.D. Bertrand. I've been hearing a lot of good things out of Notre Dame's camp with him in camp in spring and how he's put together a good offseason. Safety Kyle Hamilton, there's not much to be explained there. This guy's one of the leading tacklers on the team, so I expect him to be back at full force. DT Justin Adamalola, he should be one of the anchors on the defensive line. We'll just see how those guys come through and gel together. And cornerback Clarence Lewis is coming back as well too as a starter, one of the few starters returning on defense for those guys. As far as 3 keys to winning the game on offense for Florida State, I have number 1, protect the quarterback. Something that we have not been able to do consistently for the last 4 or 5 years is protect the quarterback. Offensive line has to protect the quarterback if we're going to have any kind of chance in this game. If we can't protect the quarterback from the get-go, it is going to be a blowout. I'm just keeping it all the way real and 100. Number 2, move the chains. No penalties. We have to stay ahead of the chains. We cannot afford senseless, dumb penalties that we've had in the last 3 to 4 to 5 years that kill drives for us. We have to move the chains and keep drives alive, and we can't let penalties kill those. And third key to winning the game on offense is wide receiver production. We have to get some production from our wide receivers. In the last few years, we haven't got the level of production that we're used to getting at Florida State from our wide receivers, and we have to do that tonight in order to win this game, in my opinion. 3 keys to winning the game on offense for Notre Dame. Number 1, get on top early. If Notre Dame can get on top of us early and score points early and keep us from scoring, their offense can get moving early and quiet the crowd and get everything out of there, then number 2, run. Notre Dame needs to establish their running game. They need to establish it from the first snap on offense. If they can establish that running game and go to moving the guys around up front and creating holes and getting their 3-headed monster out there and having successes like as they did in last year's game, where it seemed like every time they handed the ball off, they were getting 10, 15, 20, 30, 40-yard runs. If they can do that, then it'll be a long day for Florida State. And number 3, handle the environment. Doak Campbell is going to be rocking. The first time fans have been back for a long time at full capacity. And first game, Notre Dame under the lights in Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. That environment is going to be rocking, especially with the band back in the stands playing the war chant and all this stuff here. Notre Dame has to handle that pressure, especially on offense with only 3 returning starters and a lot of guys not being used to being in an environment like that. So that would be the 3rd key. For 3 keys for winning on defense for FSU, put pressure on the quarterback. I know we were in the bottom tier of sacking quarterbacks and putting pressures on quarterbacks last year, and I am hoping that we can get better and put pressure on Jack Cohn and make him uncomfortable in the pocket and make him make mistakes. Number 2, limit the run. We have to bully up on the defensive line and close holes and stay in our gaps and play fundamental sound football to limit the run. If Notre Dame can run on us whenever they want, that's going to open up play action passing. That's going to open up passing down the field. It's going to suck our safeties and linebackers in, which is going to open up passing over the middle. We have to stop the run. Number 3, cause turnovers. We got to take the ball away from them as much as possible. As much as possible. We have to get that ball away from these guys and keep it on our side, keep their defense on the field, let their defense get tired, but we have to cause turnovers. 3 keys to winning the game on defense for Notre Dame: dominate up front. If Notre Dame's defensive line can get pressure without having to blitz, if they can stop the run without having to blitz, if they can, with 4 or 3 guys, get pressure and stop the run, then it'll be a long day for Florida State. Number 2, limit the big plays and take the crowd out of the game. Don't let Florida State get behind you. Don't let Florida State get any big plays. We saw last year that Florida State was able to score in the first half, and then in the second half, Notre Dame kind of wore us down a little bit in the game. But Florida State was able to get a couple big plays last year. So if Florida State can get some big plays and get on top, it spells trouble for Notre Dame. So limit that big play. If you limit the big plays and limit the touchdowns, that takes the crowd out of the game, and then you're good. Number 3, same thing for Florida State. I'm saying it for Notre Dame: cause turnovers. The team who wins the turnover battle tonight is probably going to win the game 99.9%. So the turnover battle is very big. And now we move on to a key matchup. My 2 key matchups for this game, the first one will be FSU's front 7 versus Notre Dame's offensive line and run game. I want to see how well our front 7 can handle Notre Dame's run game, because I feel like they're going to try to run early and run often, and they're going to try to tire us down in the first half just like they did last year, and then that way in the second half they can just control the game, control the clock, and control the score. So I'm interested to see how Florida State's front 7 can go against Notre Dame's offensive line and their run game. If they can disrupt that, if they can get pressure on the quarterback, if they can do all that with the offensive line, if our front 7 can give us that tonight, we have a chance. If not, then we will not be winning this game. And the second one would be Notre Dame's defensive backfield versus FSU's passing game. Both of these groups are kind of unproven, and I know Notre Dame's defensive backfield gave up a lot of big plays in the passing game last year. So we'll see if Florida State's approved passing game with the 2 newcomers and the Ontario Wilson and Cam Mcdonald and whoever's playing quarterback can put pressure on Notre Dame's DBs, or if Notre Dame's DBs can stand up to the pressure and not allow any big plays, not allow FSU's passing game to get off on a good foot. But we definitely will see. And now the drum roll, please. We are coming down to my score prediction. Please remember to follow, comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But my score prediction tonight, and I'm sorry Seminoles fans, my score prediction tonight is Notre Dame winning 27-21. If you are a betting guy, I would take that 7.5 point spread that Vegas has right now with Florida State, and I would bet with Florida State with that 7.5 point spread. But I don't think we're quite there yet as a team to win, but I think we're there enough to compete. So I like Notre Dame taking the win tonight in Doak Campbell Stadium, 27-21. You guys comment down below and let me know what your predictions are, and I will see you guys next week for another podcast. Be safe.